We're glad you could join us on this Roll for Crit podcast, the official podcast for rollforcrit.com. Watch, shop, play. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this is a very special end-of-year show that we're doing. Unlike our normal podcast, we're not going to be covering any news subjects or what we've been playing lately or anything like that. We are here exclusively to talk to you about our top 5 board games for the year 2016.
Yes, it's been a roller coaster all over the place, and board games are no exception. We've had a lot of really interesting games come out this year. Yep. And we're going to talk about some of the really the 5 that we really enjoyed the most. And of course, we'll also talk about maybe some that were close and also ones that maybe we regret not getting the chance to play because we only have so much time.
Yes.
Yeah, even just picking them up is a challenge in and of itself.
Inevitably, there's going to be at least a game or two that you disagree with, or one that we just didn't get to play. And we'll talk about what we didn't get to play at the end, all that kind of stuff. But keep that in mind. These are not what we think are the best games, just our favorites that we got to play this year.
Yes.
But still a big deal. Still an honor. Last year, I believe we both selected Mysterium as our number 1 picks. So we'll see. We'll see how we line up. This year, I know there are 2 on my list that won't be on yours. There are 2 on my list that I bet will be on yours, and one I don't know.
All right. Well, why don't you start us up with your number 5?
All right. I will take that privilege. And we'll each say our piece.
I'm actually pretty sure from my list that there'll probably only be one that we share.
Huh. Interesting. I would think there'd be at least 2. But
there might be one other.
We'll find out.
There's one I'm almost certain. The rest I don't.
Which is good. That's interesting. We both have very varied lists. We'll find out. And we have the exact same list, it turns out. So we'll each say one at a time our numbers, then give our little just brief thoughts on why we liked it, and try not to say anything about what the other person is saying to give away any of our future things. Suspense. Stay with us. Okay. My number 5 pick. For my
Number
favorite,
5.
We're not going to do graphics. And we don't have the budget that Dice Tower has here for that kind of thing.
That's our graphic right there.
Now I got to put something there.
Well, no, my hand got it. You see it? 5 fingers.
My number 5 pick for my favorite game of 2016 is Mythos Tales from 8th Summit Games.
Okay.
And this was a game you kickstarted and backed, and we played it. If you're not familiar, it's very much a reworking of the formula from Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, a storytelling, cooperative, you could be competitive theoretically, but really it's sort of like a choose-your-own-adventure game. We've talked about it a lot on the show. It's very different, very storytelling, experimental kind of game, not like your typical board game that we really enjoy. We enjoyed Sherlock a lot. We enjoyed this a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. The only reason it's at number 5 for me is because it sticks to that formula so closely that I didn't feel it merited higher than that because I have experienced this a lot before. But I had enough fun with it that I wanted it to be on the list. And I think in a lot of ways it does kind of improve on that formula from Sherlock also. So.
For me, like
Tales. No, I don't want to. If it's on your list or not, I don't want to hear it until the end of the show.
Okay.
I think we should strictly.
Well, I was just going to talk about the game itself.
Okay,
not where if and where it's on my list. If it is, then I'll just say revert back to this part. If
it's not.
So I really enjoy the game because I feel like for a Cthulhian game or the Lovecraft games, I've played enough of them at this point. I feel, and I'm a little backlogged reading them. To me, focusing more on the story for a Cthulhu game, really, or Lovecraft game, even if it doesn't have Cthulhu in it, is where it really shines a lot more. To me, I like a game more, which actually will bring that up for not something on my list, but sort of another 2016 game, which is something we've talked before. But
sure.
And that's why I think it did that perfectly. So even though it has the formula, to me, it's like, well, that's what you'd want out of it. It's like, yeah, it's a sandwich, but you need 2 pieces of bread or something. So even if it's the same kind of sandwich. I'm sorry, that was a weird analogy. I don't know where I went
From now on, all
food
rebuttals saved to the end.
All right, so my number 5, we'll go on,
yes,
is Millennium Blades from Level 99 Games. This is also a Kickstarter I backed, and I really enjoyed this because, to me, I've sort of been weaning myself off of Magic because I feel like it's been easier to just stick with board games and then to also follow Magic and the updates and standard and getting packs. And this sort of fed that desire, like what I liked about Magic, but not in nearly as much of I had to keep track. Like, it's all in one box. each game could be so different depending on the packs it has. And so I thought it was a lot of fun. I can't wait for expansions. One of my big pet peeves with it, and hopefully they'll someday get on, it's just, it is a pain to store and stuff.
the deck that's this big. That's not an exaggeration.
Like the game itself is fun, like everything about it. It's just that, and that's why it's a little bit. But I think you can, like I found a way around it using an Ultra Pro box, and I'm sure there's other ways you could get around it eventually. But I do think it is a really fun game that has a lot of different modes in it. It brings a lot of different games to the table.
Level 99 is always... We've liked all their games, I think.
Yeah, I mean, all the ones we've played. We haven't played all of them.
Right.
But
good, solid pick.
So why don't I do number 4 then?
We'll okay, sure.
Just to give you a bit of a break. So my number 4 was THEOMACHY from Peterson Entertainment. I really enjoyed this because I'm always a sucker when you throw all different myths together. Like Age of Mythology, we both talk about how we like that. Mm-hmm. And this had that feeling. And I didn't feel like one, even though usually when it comes to Peterson, and I won't say I'm against it, like Cthulhu and Lovecraft tend to shine a bit more. And they're in this, but really they're not like, over.
They're not the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. I love all the different groups that are in there, and it has this really brings back poker almost in an amazing way, but it isn't just like poker symbols. There actually is a lot more of a deck building aspect in the poker game, and you're not really ever out, so to speak, and there's a lot more to it. I really did think it was a lot more fun to bring to the table, and I really need to play it more, but it definitely, I thought, worth the slot on my list.
So 3 Kickstarters have started off our list so far.
Yes, and I will say though, I almost don't count level 99s because it's like
fair, but it is interesting.
Yes.
It is interesting that has happened. All right, so I'll do my number 4 and then my number 3.
Yeah, I think that makes things more interesting.
All right, my number 4 is Captain Sonar, which was the new Asmodee Matagut release, which is sort of like Battleship, but in real time and played when 2 teams of up to 8 people, 4 people on each team. It's a frantic, crazy kind of exciting action, fast-paced game that we love those kinds of party, real-time games, Space Alert.
Partially because it forces us to play quickly.
Yeah, that's part of it. There's something about that immediacy and the tension and suspense that comes from it that is so much fun. And this game does a great job. And there's also a lot of it we still haven't explored yet, the various maps that you can try.
I will say this, I'm feeling there's a theme with our games. We'll see the rest of our lists. But that a lot of the games I can feel like on our list are because that they aren't just we've played it once, we've gotten it. Like they have a lot of different modes or different variations.
I mean, in general, I tend to prize depth and replay value quite a bit in games that I like.
I mean, I think there's a fair reason for that.
Yes, certainly. I mean, I guess that's not unusual. But the reason this one is number 4, a little lower, is I do feel like some of the groups, some of the roles you can play aren't as fun to play as other roles, and I wish it were a little more balanced in that regard. But other than that, it's really unique and feels fun and different.
Yeah, I completely agree with the role thing. I mean, there's one role I love the most, and I think it's the same one.
The radio operator.
Yeah, because we both like puzzles, and in essence, you're playing a puzzle game.
And I mean, anything with dry erase, and you can change what you're doing.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, the game has just been a lot of fun because of that, and I would never want to do the suggested take a turn mode with it, like when you're first.
There's the turn-based version you can play, yeah.
And I guess, but once again, my big problem with it is that, one, and this is more just for us, sometimes it's hard to get that large group of people. And not only that, large group of people and people who would be willing to play it or enjoy it.
Right.
And the roles can really vary your experience of the game.
I keep looking over you, and it looks like you're like leaning on a cane, like a refined gentleman with southern gentleman.
No, I'm what's his name from Mythos Tales? Well, this is how I solved the mystery.
Yeah, Professor Armitage.
Yes.
All right, now my number 3 is one that you did not get to play, which is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game from Jasco and Lynn Vander, which I got to play at Gen Con. Sylvan snagged a copy of it, but I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, so this kind of had to go on my list somewhere. And it does a great job capturing the feel, the theme of the show into a more modern environment. I compared it to Pandemic. Well, I think I really compared it to Eldritch Horror, but it also feels like Pandemic. It's a cooperative game. There's no traitors, there's no bad guys, except for some minor things here and there. But I really like that, and I'm excited to get the chance to show this to people who are Buffy fans.
Yeah, and I really am excited to play because we're both big fans of the series. You've seen it before. I caught up to you, and I do feel Buffy has that fantastic story that it could fit into a nice, good story-based board game, and also why we also said why Legendary didn't, and they finally listened to us.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm very excited to get a chance to try it out, and I'm especially since it even made your top 5. So
now, give me your number 3.
My number 3 has been said already. It is Mythos Tales.
Oh man, you got me. You tricked me.
I didn't think. I thought it was pretty obvious, but yes, I mean, it was everything I wanted. I love the Sherlock game, but I enjoyed the Mythos one more.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen to us talk about it before.
You said your piece.
So all right. So for my last 2.
Well, so are you going to do 2 and 1?
Well, no, I'm not going to say them, but I'm going to say.
Okay, go ahead.
I need to say a little blurb before. Honestly, you could probably
nervous schoolgirls
switch the 2. It's honestly one I think is probably a better, and one is just me.
I feel you.
So take it as you will. My number 2 probably is on probably a lot of people's lists.
Okay.
And is from Stonemaier Games, is Scythe. We finally got the chance to play it, and we were having a blast playing it. It was just so much fun, and then knowing that how much the game could change depending on setup, what group you are, what's the other board you get, what the goals are, could completely change the mechanism of how you play. And going back to what we were saying, how these games seem to have a thing about each game being so different really makes a big difference.
Right. Yeah.
And the thing that really makes it amazing is the card that gives you the option of convince a patrol group that the cows are sending messages in their hide.
Yeah, the theme is there. It's very entertaining.
Yeah. So
it's humorous in spite of its serious
Euro
appearance.
play style, honestly.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just one of the funnest games we played in a while. And most enjoyable, I guess.
So let me do my number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do number 2 and then I'll take number 1. Why not?
Yeah.
My number 2 is another one that I know you didn't get to play, which is Cry Havoc from Portal Games, which is similar to Scythe, also a sort of war territory control based game, a little bit less jack of all trades than Scythe. Your strategies are more moving and capturing and stuff like that. But it is a very unique take on a genre that I normally am not super excited about, which is that military fighting, territory control thing. But first of all, it does the combat system really well. There's a very unique board system with the combat that makes every fight very interesting. And even if you...
It's not just, I have more power than you.
Right. Even if you're outnumbered, there are still ways you can get something out of it. And it's not always a given that the guy with more stuff is going to win. So I really love that. The components are beautiful and fun, and the different factions are really unique and interesting to play with. So this one is a great one. It's gotten tons of buzz.
Yeah, we got close. I learned to play it.
Yeah, I wanted to get a chance to play it. But.
So when you explained to me, I was definitely excited to give it a go.
Yeah, we said it reminded us of Cthulhu Wars, which is one of our favorite games from last year also.
Yeah.
And my number 1 was your number 2, which is Scythe.
Yes, and that's why I want to give my blurb. I'll go with my number 1 now, because honestly...
Well, let me say what I want to say about Scythe, but you can say...
Yeah.
They're interchangeable for you. I see.
Yeah, well, I'll explain why they're interchangeable.
Okay. I agree with everything you said. Like you said, the amount of different strategies that you can find, the amount of replay, and again, like with Cry Havoc, but Cry Havoc has it appeals to me instantly because it's got a sci-fi box. It looks cool. I like that. Scythe was one that I think both of us, when we saw, thought it's got farming, the resource collection, the art is very beautiful, but at a glance it's very realistic. It's dull kind of browns and yellows. It's not eye-popping. So I really wasn't too excited about it, but getting the chance to play it the theme is actually there much more than I anticipated, and the game moves quickly. It has a lot of great methods of telling you what you should be trying to do, giving you the options of what to do. There's always different strategies you can take. It really has just so much went into the design of the thing that make it a fun game, an interesting game from many different perspectives. So I really liked Scythe.
Another big thing, I forgot to mention this about Scythe, and this is something, in general, it's not connected to war games, but it's a problem I have with certain games, and some games are even really bad offenders. While you could sort of see like, oh, Will has more money, like, you weren't sure at the end of what, like, Neil, at first when we were doing points, we were like, oh, he got this huge bonus, and like, it was like just maybe like 1 star from beating me.
Yeah,
and I like that. I like that.
No, that's a great addition. It's
because to me, when you can't see as much who's winning, like you maybe get a feeling like, oh, he's getting a jump forward, but like you're not usually thinking like, oh, this stinks, there's nothing I can do. You're more like, you can actually play the entire game and have fun there. And that's a big thing.
And because there are so many ways to get points, it's not like, you can't ever be like, he's won so many more battles, he's going to win.
And we should mention that,
it might not matter.
In that end score thing, I ended the game with 6 stars there. Neil had 1.
Yeah.
That's how fantastic of that means.
And even if you don't like combat, you might not ever have to fight in this game. Like there really is something there that a lot of people can enjoy.
Yeah.
So your actual number 1, which could be interchangeable with 2.
Well, number 2 I think probably is a better game.
Okay.
But for me, this, like as we were saying, this is more of our favorite. This I just am so excited to keep playing and enjoy. Number 1 for me was from Fantasy Flight, was the ARKHAM Horror LCG card game. I played it more than you. You've got to play it once. But I played it more and read a little bit about it. I'm just so excited, and I had so much fun, partly because I've played the Lord of the Rings card game, because our friend Mark has that and have enjoyed it. And this is like, oh, it's Mythos Tales, kind of, except we're doing more fighting and more combat, but I'm still playing as, the detective, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get Glorious soon.
And, I mean, you love Arkham Horror, you love Eldritch Horror, this is your wheelhouse.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and doing it in a way that, not buying packs, it was hard for me not, and that's why it's like, I did do Scythe. I think Scythe is an amazing, innovative game, and honestly, probably is a better game. For me, it was like, this is what I want to keep
That's totally fair. No, that's totally fair.
So actually, honestly, we're almost close at the same time. I could honestly put Scythe as 1.
Yeah, we're pretty close. I liked Arkham Horror a lot, but yeah, it makes sense as your thing. I kind of want to comment on your lists. And then tell you the ones that I didn't put on. Well, I said there were 2 that I thought, I figured Mythos Tales was going to be on. Yeah, I guess Mythos Tales and Scythe were the 2 that I was pretty sure you were going to have.
I was guaranteed Scythe. I didn't think you'd have Mythos Tale on there.
Yeah, and I knew Cry Havoc and Buffy you didn't play.
Yeah.
Captain Sonar I wasn't sure about. The other one I almost put on, instead of Captain Sonar, Star Wars Destiny.
Captain Sonar was like 6 for me. It was close. You
Yeah.
know? And I was pretty sure Cry Havoc was on yours, and I was like, there's no.
And I'm really glad that you had Millennium Blades on yours, because I kind of thought about that, because I wanted it to be on one of our lists, because I did think it's a great game. I just didn't get enough of a chance to really sink my teeth into it.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And
it is a little intimidating.
It is. No, and that's why it's like 5, I have to say. Like,
yeah.
Compared to the rest, I feel like all the rest are not as intimidating once you've learned it. I still feel that game can be really intimidating. But I still love it.
I'll say there's more I want to talk about with you, but there's 2 that were really runners-up, which were Star Wars Destiny, which I did think was really fun, but at the end of the day, it's a collectible card game. We've seen a lot of those, and I don't know how much I'll go back to it. The other one was Speechless, which I really liked, but it's so close to just being charades that I couldn't.
I completely agree. That's why I did.
Put it on this list.
That's why I put that. Captain Sonar was a run-up for me, but we talked about that. And
any other ones that just missed your top 5?
Well, I will say this: Star Wars Destiny was not a runner-up for me. That one was a.
It's funny because I feel like you liked it more than I did.
I enjoyed it a lot, but for me, it wasn't honestly, we played it. I'm like, I probably won't have a huge desire. If someone brought it and had decks made, I'd be like, yeah, I'll play it, but it's not like
I feel
all the rest. I'm like, I want to dive in and just eat it all up. Well, then that goes with what we're talking about with the it's not just you play it once you're done. all the games we put on our list, and maybe even the run-ups, were like, oh, we played it once. Oh, now I got to go in again. Like, that's why I loved Cthulhu Wars. Like, it wasn't just, oh, I played this faction, I'm done. I'm like, well, what if I did this? And
of course, I mean, the counterpoint is Star Wars Destiny has customizable decks.
But I didn't get that feeling, and that's what I mean.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair.
The game has to give me that. But I guess some of my runner-ups going through.
I kind of thought Role Player might be on your top 5.
I enjoyed it a lot. I would love to play it again. I don't think I'd rather play the rest, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, let's see. I have to go through and
Give
double check.
him a minute, folks.
Evolution Climate was a runner-up for me. I really enjoyed the cards they added in that. I do think we need to play it more to really get the feeling and mess around with the climate.
Because the reason that wasn't on my list is because when we played it, I felt like it almost did nothing.
Well, because I
barely
think one of the
interacted
reasons
with
that I've noticed that is I think, and I noticed it when we first played Evolution, we tend to play it safe for our first round. Like, make sure there's a lot of food in the center, not like try to make it scarce.
Unless you're Neil and he just starts eating people turn 1 and paying for it.
I do say that there's a list of games we need to actually have a game night at Neil's, because there's 3 games on here we didn't get to play that he all owns.
Well, let me say, here's a few more that I liked that weren't on my list.
I have, do yours, and
I bet
2.
some of them will be yours.
Okay.
Mystic Vale, liked, but didn't quite push me. Felt a little bit too much like another deck building game, and also because we know that other game is coming with that aspect, I kind of couldn't shake the feeling in my head that this is like
tutorial.
25% of a game, but fun. Mangaka, we had a lot of fun playing that.
That one's on my list.
I had my
it was like so close to me, and I want to play it more, but I just felt like, unlike the rest of my games, I feel like that one I really am like, can I play with you? But the other ones I'm like, I could probably drop this in front of X people and enjoy.
Zombie Tower 3D, really liked, but one of my big thing with that was being isolated from the rest of the group. Felt a little weird to me.
We're all playing our solitaire game.
I wasn't crazy about that part of it. The two that neither of us played that I really am sad that we didn't. One is Star Wars Rebellion. Which is a big deal, which we thought came out in 2015 for some reason, but it didn't. I really want to play that for obvious reasons, but it's just such a big, expensive game, and it's only 2 players, and I haven't had the chance to decide that it's worth trying it, getting it. The other one that neither of us played was Mechs vs. Minions, which is probably the highest profile one that we didn't get to play. Wow, maybe, I don't know if it's more high profile than Star Wars, but it's up there.
Well, for me, Mangaka was the one, so you mentioned that. This one, I mean, I guess we didn't get to play it. We played it at Gen Con, so for me, I felt like I've had the experience. I wish we played it more. That's one of the reasons. But it was the Ticket to Ride Rails and Sails.
Right, yeah,
which
that was a good one.
Well, I want to bring it up because to me that the iteration of Ticket to Ride into this was a lot more fun, and I want to play again compared to, while I enjoyed them, like Pandemic Cthulhu, it was fun, Cthulhu, it's still didn't feel, I still won't, like...
Still Pandemic. That one really makes it feel unique.
But the Ticket to Ride, something about it I want to play again. Like, I don't know.
I'm with you on that. That was really fun.
But some of the ones I regret was Lotus. I really wanted to get my hands on, but we never really did. And where was it? Here it is. This one probably wouldn't have made our top 5, but I still wanted to play the Rick and Morty Total Recall.
I wanted to try that too.
Because,
Say, that was for me, Firefly Legendary. I don't think it would have been my top 5 just because I'm so familiar with it.
Well, yeah, I think that felt with Pandemic, but I'm like, I'm going to like Legendary no matter what.
Yeah, it's like a cheat.
And now these 2 on the list, and I would actually be very confused whether to put this on the list or not, because it feels like cheating, going back to what we're saying, was Mansion of Madness 2.0, the second edition.
Right.
Really want to get my hands on that someday. And then Terraforming Mars.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I've heard a lot of good things about that. I also heard good things about what's the new what's his name? Uwe Rosenberg with Feast for Odin.
Yeah,
that's supposed to be pretty good.
There is one that technically came out in 2016, but in my opinion, neither of us can comment on it compared to the rest.
Okay.
That we have played a little bit of, and I'll explain why we can't, is SeaFall. I feel a legacy game. Honestly, I almost feel like we can't put it in a final list until we've played the entire thing.
Yeah, I feel the same way, because I did like SeaFall, and I forgot to mention that also, but yeah, it was that. I just don't know that I'm ready to say what I feel about it.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like we need the whole movie before we can even comment.
I also feel a little bit like if SeaFall were the first Legacy game, I might have been more inclined to have it on my list by default. But since we've done Risk Legacy and Pandemic Legacy, it's not feeling as exciting anymore. Not that it's not against the game, that's just why in my head.
I do want to see, eventually, I'd love to see this, and if someone were to make a Legacy game that's actually a card game, like Millennium Blades, kind of, where you actually write on the cards or something, or stickers. That's what
Top 5 ideas for games for 2017.
Where was it? There's earlier, I mentioned how we like the Cthulhu story, Lovecraft story, and that's what I want to see, and I wanted to bring it up later about a game. Cthulhu's Vault. We talked about that. We played that.
Oh yeah.
And it has 2 parts, and the first part we loved because it was just making this story up, and it just turned to be so great. And the second part was a little lackluster.
It was unbalanced.
And not even unbalanced. Like, it was sort of just
unbalanced in that regard, not in the normal way you say that.
And that's why, like, the first part is like, that's what we want out of a Lovecraft. Like, we would just want to make a story and this hilarious flute that made him run faster, and just like, it was almost comical as much of it was horror. And so like, that's what going back.
So I guess I was going to say, are there anything that really like disappointed you? But I guess
that didn't disappoint me too much.
There is.
Well,
was there any game that you actually like were looking forward to that you didn't enjoy? We're usually pretty. There was something.
I'm hard to disappoint.
I mean, we played Necronomicon. That was probably the least enjoyable game that we tried this year.
Let me see. I was disappointed by.
I'll say X-Files for a second year in a row.
Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu, it wasn't as much disappointment. I'm like, yeah, this is what I expected. It's not a. Let's see. Codenames Pictures, like, I guess.
It says Mystic Veil, we didn't know the rules to it. Yeah, that's disappointing. Codenames Pictures.
But not because I think it's bad, but it's just because, like, after playing, like, I think I still enjoy just regular better, even though we were excited to try it with Dixit cards.
I'm with you on that.
And especially now that I got you for Christmas the
adult version of Codenames.
Mix those together and see what
that'll
cool people
be a fun
give.
playback. I think Codenames Pictures is good. Yeah, it was just kind of But I think our lists are pretty good. I'm glad we got represented some ones that I really liked, as well as some unique ones that I don't think are on most people's lists. I think I would say probably no other list you'll find THEOMACHY or Buffy.
I actually avoid looking at anyone's list.
Yeah.
Because I want to be like, I'm going to judge this by what I like.
Sure.
Even though someone's like, Scythe's going to be on everyone's list.
Well, I think if we had to pick a Roll for Crit pick, it would be Scythe because it was your number 2 and my number 1.
And like I said, honestly, it's not that it's number 2 because I don't think it beats number 1. I do think it's probably a better game.
Yeah. So if you need a game of the year from us, that's the one. That's the one we'll give you.
And I'm in complete agreement with that. So honestly, we're pretty in agreement.
And we're
with
not
our game
alone
of the
on that.
Yeah.
We're definitely going along with the crowd with that opinion. Last year, as I said, it was Mysterium. I don't remember 2014 because I'm pretty sure we did have a best of for that year, and I think. Maybe we didn't do one that first year. We might not have.
Maybe not.
Maybe this is only our second time. Go back and look. You know more than us, probably.
But let us know if you've played the games on our list, if you agree that they're deserving of a top 5, if you got to play in the games we regretted not playing, and if you think like, oh man, you would have loved playing that.
Yeah.
So let us know about your 2016 board game experiences.
Please, you can do that just by leaving a comment right here on YouTube. Just post those top 5s right here. We'd love to see them.
Yeah, not even top 5s. I'd love to see if you had any memorable moments. Like you were like, oh, this one time I got to combo out completely in this game. Like
memorable moments, least favorite moments, disasters that happened to you.
They let us know. Neil really wants to put that across.
You can also email us, rollforcrit@gmail.com.
Or tweet at us, @rollforcrit. We're everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just everywhere.
And finally, you can check out our website, rollforcrit.com, where you can buy several of the games that we mentioned today. Not Scythe right now, but check back in the future to see if it gets there. But
well, it depends when you're watching this.
Depends when you're watching this. Check out all those games there for great prices, plus more videos like this, podcasts, news stories, tweets.
So much good stuff. It's a great central place for everything.
Yeah, you should look at it.
Until then, I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and we'll see you guys in the year 2017 on Roll for Crit.